Well, top of the morning, Southern Oregon, and welcome back to the Real Estate Show. We're so happy to have you today. We're going to be speaking to Roger Keller, the owner and founder of A-1 Classic Roofing, and also Guy Giles of Mutual Mortgage, our in-house lender. So we're super excited to have those gentlemen on the show today. Looking forward to getting market updates from Guy Giles of Mutual Mortgage, and also hearing about roof maintenance and preventable issues with different kinds of roofing material from Roger Keller of A-1 Classic Roofing. So while we're waiting for those fellows to come into the studio, let's take a quick look at our local statistics. We still have volatility in two of our three counties. Let's start with Jackson County first. The prices year over year in Jackson County residential markets are down 3% this week. The average single family home costing $451,566. The number of sold year over year in Jackson County this week in the residential market are down 13%. We had 38 closings this week on SOMLS. The number of listings were up 15% year over year in Jackson County this week, which is great news. We really need those listings. We had 712 active listings on SOMLS this week in the residential markets. Josephine County prices year over year this week were up 12%. The average, single family home in Josephine County costing $561,647 in the residential market, Josephine County this week. The number of sold year over year were up 80% from this time last year in the residential market, Josephine County, 18 closings this week. Number of listings were up 26% in Josephine County. We had 335 active listings on SOMLS in Josephine County this week. Congratulations, Josephine County is up in all three categories that we track. Klamath County prices were up 16% this week. The average single family home costing $379,114. That's year over year residential for Klamath County. Number of sold year over year in Klamath County were up 36%. We had 15 closings this week in the residential market on SOMLS in Klamath County. The number of listings year over year were also up in Klamath County this week, 9%. We had 254 active listings on SOMLS in Klamath County. So congratulations to Klamath County. They are also up in all three categories this week for year over year numbers. Super exciting. We still have some volatility in Jackson County, our biggest county in Southern Oregon, with prices being down, number of solds being down, but at least listings were up this week, year over year in Jackson County by 15%. So we just have to hang in there, folks. We need to get more listings because we still have a shortage, but the interest rates are raising havoc. We've got another Federal Reserve meeting this week, which we'll have to ask Guy Giles about. He's coming into the studio now. He's with Mutual Mortgage, and he's bringing along with him Roger Keller from A-1 Classic Roofing. So let's get to those guys. Well, Guy Giles, welcome back to the show. So good to have you again.
Hey, thanks.
And you brought Roger. Sorry?
Looks like fall's back again.
Oh, isn't that something? What a weird week. Weird week.
Yeah.
And you also brought with you Roger Keller, the founder and owner of A-1 Classic Roofing.
Yes.
Thanks to be here.
Yeah, thanks, Roger. So Roger, why don't you tell us a little bit about A-1 Classic Roofing and how you got started in that?
Well, I moved here in 1994 from Riverside, California, like everybody else, and tried to work for some people, and nobody wanted to work back then. They just wanted to go fishing. So I started my own business, and ever since then, I've been doing really well.
Well, congratulations. That's awesome. And the roofing business right now, compared to before COVID, what is the market like for the roofing business?
You know, we really didn't slow down. Everything I do is referral. I used to be in the phone book and everything, and the biggest page out there on the radios, everything, but I've got so much referral fan base that I'm not in too much. But the COVID thing, we never even really slowed down. All we had to do was put two people in a truck and we kept working.
Mm-hmm.
This year right now is probably the slowest I've been. I never slow.
Right
And
now?
yeah, for some reason, I can't buy a job. We say that everybody goes through those, realtors go through those, everybody does in business. Where if I gave you $100, you'd still turn me down. You know what I mean? But then the next week, everything blows up.
Yeah.
So it's
Well, and
just,
some of it's seasonal, right?
yes, and taxes have just got done and
Yeah.
everything.
Well, I can tell you saved us. Just a few weeks ago, there was a FHA roof that came back that needed some help per the appraiser, and he was super. That was just 3 weeks ago. You were super busy, but he just jumped off his job and
get
just
him
got
done
the thing
too fast.
done. Yeah.
That's holy moly. That's one thing that we need to talk about. We need to talk about roof maintenance and, you know,
Yay, please.
I
Yes.
do a lot of estimates for realtors. 3 to 5 years. Well, I'll tell you what, excuse me, when you see the shiny granules of a composition roof, that means the roof is wearing out. That means the granules are coming off the mat. So when the granules come off the mat, the water soaks into the mat. It's
Oh, wow.
not able to shed off no more. So what I've seen is as it soaks into the mat, it creates a moisture underneath the mat and on the tar paper, and it literally rots your plywood out.
Wow. So that's
That was
how
a
that
lot. That was
happens.
a lot on that job of yours.
Yeah.
And vents. People don't put enough vents in, and they don't clean your roof. Roofs are just like anything else. They need maintenance. You hear about it all the time on radios, stations, and that. But if you keep your roof clean, it will last a long time. Moss is huge. Moss causes more leaks than anything there is.
Oh, does it?
Because the water, it creates dams. The moss builds up in between the keyways and it creates dams to where the water can't come down no more, so it goes underneath. Tile
Wow.
roofs, all these tile roofs, people think, oh, I put a 50-year roof on. Great. Well, you wouldn't believe when you pull the tiles out of a valley how much debris and dirt and rot is in there. So tile roofs are a really big thing. But all of them, when customers start seeing the shiny part, it's time to start thinking and saving your money.
So how do the granules fall off of the actual mat backing? How does that happen?
Age. We all get tired. We all get
Maybe it's just like the rocks and the erosion where water gets in there and it freezes and then thaws out, and probably that.
It's the sun, it's the wind. It has a lot to do with the dirt. The dirt that flies around the atmosphere that lands on your roof
Mm-hmm.
breaks all that apart. But the sun does a huge thing to the deterioration of shingles. But the shingles nowadays, honestly, are made so well. I really believe they're gonna last 30 plus years. I got them on my house that I bought a house that I had roofed. So weird.
And that was accidental?
Yeah, I didn't plan on buying it. It just came out of the blue. But that, I'll bet you my roof is 28 years old and just now barely showing signs of granule loss, but not bad.
Well, one question I'd like to ask is, and I think of you every Christmas when I'm climbing all over my roof putting up Christmas lights, is that just something, I go all the way to the ridge, I do the whole thing. I mean, how much damage am I doing by doing that?
Oh, yeah, because your shoes could do, yeah, good question.
You're not doing any damage at that time of year because it's so cold. You can run all over your roof in cooler temperatures. You won't hurt the granules, you won't. But
Well, that's interesting.
let it get 80 degrees, you turn your foot, you'll tear all the granules off.
Wow, that's so
That's
interesting.
So when it's cooler, like today, you can play football up there and yeah.
That's seriously some cool information that I did not even think about or know. And I used to load roofs. That's how highly skilled I got in the roofing industry when I was a kid. My job was just to load them. That's what I did all day long. It was just
No, that's
setting
how I
stuff out.
started.
Yeah.
I started loading roofs at 16 years old, and like an idiot, I never got out.
Well,
Last
folks,
week-
we're talking to Roger Keller, the founder and owner of A-1 Classic Roofing, and Guy Giles, our in-house lender from Mutual Mortgage. Sorry to interrupt, gentlemen, but we got to take a hard break. We're going to be right back after a quick word from our sponsors to hear more about roof maintenance, care, and installation from Roger Keller, the founder and owner of A-1 Classic Roofing. And we'll get some market updates from Guy Giles, Mutual Mortgage. Don't go away. I'm Alice Lema. I'm a broker here in beautiful Southern Oregon with John L. Scott Real Estate. And today we have Guy Giles, Mutual Mortgage, and Roger Keller from A-1 Classic Roofing. Guy, let's start with you this segment. We've had kind of a weird week in the financial markets. Do you would you like to weigh in on that?
Well, I mean, we have technical terms, for it, and weird is not that technical term, and I will not mention on the air what that term is. This inflation has been stubborn. I mean, there's just no way around it. We have a Fed that waited way too long. I've said this in the past to start raising rates, and at this point, they're almost justified in keeping them high. I mean, we just keep seeing hot inflation numbers come out time after time. We were really expecting the headline PCE to be around 3%, this last time around, and we got just a little bit over that. But anything that's not moving in the right direction is not going to be prompting the Fed to want to reduce rates right away. I feel that there are people that realize that it's slowed the market down a ton, at least in, where it matters to people, where they have to live. And, the one thing that we might be able to look forward to in this next meeting, which it's not going to be a rate cut. And again, I always like to say it in case somebody hasn't heard me before. When the Fed cuts rates, that does not directly drop our rates. That's your credit cards, that's your home equity lines of credit, that's everything else that you do. But it really doesn't directly affect the mortgage rates. But that said, they kind of do work hand in hand, because if you're going to go invest in something for 30 years, you want to be able to get a decent rate of return. And if you can go invest someplace else shorter, which is more like the Fed type stuff, and get more money, why would you get stuck for 30 years getting it? So even though ours are up, they do kind of go hand in hand as far as that goes. And the actual numbers year over year went from 2.7% to 2.5, so they are trending the right direction. But what we've also talked about before is the Fed's target of 2%, which is basically unattainable unless we drop down to 1% or, for a year. Because
I see.
we're on this 12-month moving average.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I'm really hoping they do something before that target actually hits. And it's either going to take, well, I don't know how many wars we're in now, but maybe a bad war. I don't know what we call it, or something to really break in the economy. For them to be able to do something if everything kind of holds where it is right now. I mean, even housing was up, 0.43%. I mean, it's just like, it's coming. The one thing that they could actually mention at this next Fed meeting is that, tapering off of reducing their balance sheet. And I know that you're probably scratching your head saying, what's he talking about there?
You're talking about the government debt?
Yeah. Historically, the Fed, they bought a whole lot of mortgage-backed securities. Probably nobody but me remembers back, after the last crash, they started buying mortgage-backed securities and rates dropped a couple of percent just basically overnight. It was crazy. And then we had just a big refi boom. We had a whole lot of activity going on in housing because rates had gone down, and they were lower than they are right now, but not a ton. And there was just a lot of activity that just died when the crash happened. And to stimulate that, they started buying mortgage-backed securities. Well, they had too much of that on their balance sheet. So over the last few years, they've been reducing what they have on their sheet. So they're talking about, for one, maybe reducing it at a slower pace, and then two, maybe buying some more. So both those things could, go well for rates, even if they don't end up lowering the Fed fund rate, anytime soon. So we're basically anticipating no cut at their next meeting, but hopefully maybe a little bit of announcements from them either buying some more or slowing down the bleeding off of their sheet right now.
So it sounds like they've got a couple of other avenues besides a direct rate cut. The Federal Reserve Bank is what we're talking about.
Yes, there are a couple other levers that they can pull. So,
and do you see that as a likelihood, or are we still just hand waving and waiting?
a little bit of both. I'm starting to hear talk of that a little bit more. But that said, it seems to be a new policy of the Fed is to let stuff leak out rather than, I mean, in the old days, I don't know if anybody remembers, but
I do. They never used to talk about this.
No,
because it was considered market manipulation.
I know. But then when you start getting into the markets yourself, anyway, that's another subject. I won't even go there. But in the old days, Alan Greenspan used to go to Walmart. He used to go out and he'd shop and he'd look and he would get, a real feeling for what's going on out there.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't know how much of that's happening anymore, so I'm sure probably at least half the feds are listening right now. You guys should go do that. But they'll never listen to us. But really, I'm hoping some sanity comes back into it, and a lot of the disconnect goes away, because if they really were on the ball, they would have started raising rates a whole lot sooner than they ever did. That never happened, and by the time it happened, it was trouble. And then we got a government that's just spending money like they're on crack. And it's like what ends up eventually happening is we get a major slowdown where they're forced to do something. So hopefully they don't bring us to our knees like they did, waiting to raise the thing up. And there are a few feds running around that have the sane heads that they are talking, and we're hearing about maybe them stepping in and doing something here. So if we can't have them completely out of our lives, hopefully if they have to be in there, then they can do the right thing.
So in the meantime, how are your buyers reacting to the ongoing volatility this month?
I think a lot of them have just resigned themselves to, let's get in a house right now, and then we'll worry about the rate when they drop. We'll do a refinance at that point, because what we're dealing with a lot of times, I mean, gosh, spending is up 0.8% this last month, and wages only increased 0.5. So that gap has to come someplace. Either it's from savings or you're charging stuff up.
So you're talking about consumer spending?
Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Shift gears and don't tell anybody I'm even putting in the clutch.
Credit cards.
Yeah.
Come from credit cards. Everybody's on the credit cards.
Yeah. So hopefully, I mean, the savings is down to its lowest point since before COVID. Some people, that was a pretty high savings place because everybody got their little check, but then they figured out they could go buy something with it. And still, my water world, economic system is still, the same thing. There's a lot of toys out there, a lot of boats, a lot of side by sides that need to be sold that are just kind of stacking up out in front of water world. So I don't think people are doing quite as much discretionary spending, but maybe they're jacking up credit cards just to take care of their daily bills at this point.
Well, and I think people get scared too, and they'll stop the discretionary spending even if they could afford it,
Yeah.
just because of the fear of the unknown. And I know a lot of us, we're not going out to restaurants and nightclubs, and we don't go have a cocktail out with our friends anymore, just because we don't really know what's going to happen in the future. And
No,
well,
but
plus it's really expensive now.
no, that is absolutely true. And then I do love to support the small businesses. But to answer your question, which I guess I didn't really do a little while ago, people are really just figuring out that go ahead and buy. And I mean, if you can afford it, there's a whole class of people right now. I mean, I was just talking to Cassie a few minutes ago, a gal I work with, about a guy. I mean, the guy makes $52,000 a year. That is not bad income. And he can probably qualify for around a couple $100,000. So how many
But we
houses?
don't have housing unless you want to
No.
do a condominium.
Yeah, and so I mean the affordability piece is the same thing we've struggled with forever here in Southern Oregon. Everybody moves up and buys a house, and it's a bargain for them if they buy $800,000 house down there.
Well,
You're up,
yeah, if they're from somewhere else, yeah.
yeah. So the ones that can afford it, I think, are finally pulling the trigger. And the ones that can't, I mean, sometimes a family member will step in, or they just don't buy right now.
Yeah, we're definitely having more talks with families, and I think it's also slowing down home maintenance. We've got Roger Keller in the house. He's the founder and owner of A-1 Classic Roofing, and we're also talking to Guy Giles of Mutual Mortgage. We're probably going to have a more in-depth conversation with Roger here in the next segment. What do you think? The economy is slowing down home maintenance?
Yeah, everything's slowing down. The price is just going through the roof. I mean, what you're talking about, Waterworld, he's got all that inventory. He's selling a lot. He's afraid of what happened with COVID, of not being able to get his material to sell. But they're selling. It's crazy.
So we're going to talk more about that with Roger Keller. We'll be right back after a quick word. Thanks. Welcome back, everybody, to the Real Estate Show. Roger Keller, founder and owner of A-1 Classic Roofing, is in the house with Guy Giles of Mutual Mortgage. And Roger, right before the break, we were asking the question, if the economy is sluggish, how that affects home maintenance. You're in the roofing business. What are you seeing?
Well, nobody's doing it. I mean, everybody's living off of credit cards. Everybody's asking me, can we put it on the credit card? So
Really? A new roof?
yeah, that's where we're at right now. Everybody wants to put it on a credit card. This all started back, everybody knows what Guy is talking about. 4 years ago, we used to be able to tear a roof off, buy all the material, everything, for $185 a square. Now it's $300 a square.
Oh my gosh.
All because of oil, because of material costs more, because of transportation costs more. Everything, everybody jumped on the bandwagon and raised everything up. And they are continuing to raise prices all the time. I don't know where it's going to end. If something don't happen, nobody's going to be. Look at how much cars cost. Oh
Yeah.
God, how do people afford to buy a new truck? That's a house payment.
Yeah.
So in the roofing, it becomes the last thing that most people probably do, because they look up in their ceiling and, well, I don't have any leaks, so maybe we'll make it another year, maybe 2 years, and then we'll worry about that. So, yeah, what's going on affects each and every one of us, from the groceries we buy, I mean, everything, absolutely everything. So,
Well, and this is where maintenance becomes more important. Roger, can you give us some tips on what to do yearly, bi-yearly, every 5 years? What would you recommend?
well, moss right now is a big thing because we went through winter and everything. So, moss grows up really big. Okay, you have to get it clean. Everybody says you can't power wash. Yeah, you can power wash your roof with what you would use to wash your car. Now you have to get the dirt off or it will continue to grow. Once you've removed all the dirt, then you can go down to one of your stores. Lowe's has it, a moss be gone, hooks on the end of your hose. You don't even have to get on the roof. And if you just sprayed every year on your roof, it would kill your moss.
So is that a treatment? Is that what that is?
Yeah. But you know, the leaves, the gutters, I mean, this cost, if you're too afraid to get on a roof, we'll come out and blow your roof off and blow your gutters out for really cheap.
Oh, that's great.
The roofs that I do it for free. I tell every homeowner, okay, I pay
Wow.
your roof now. Call me every year. I'll come out. I'll blow your roof off and do your gutters
Wow.
every year. You know how many people call me?
How
One.
many? No kidding.
Same lady?
Nobody calls me.
I've actually gone out and done that for people this year, just for, as
Yeah,
a,
I mean, if we clean them out before, every year before the rain hits, then all it is a matter of taking a blower and blowing
Mm-hmm.
them out. But once the rain hits, then they become mucky and everything. But
Mm-hmm.
all that, your gutters fill up and that rots the bottom of your fascia, rots your fascia board out, rots your starter board out. I mean, maintenance is huge.
Well, I
And
think people just don't understand because we think, well, it's like having an outside dog.
yeah,
You forget that it needs some loving care.
but most
So,
people don't even know what's on their roof. When they call me up, I'm like, well, what are we looking at? What kind of roof you got?
oh, and they don't know.
I don't know.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that's what that's sorry about
So how
that.
many times a year do you recommend? Because I'm really interested in maintenance. I think that is the best thing you can ever do. Plus, it extends the life of the system. So for a roof, are you suggesting maybe once a year or twice a year?
No, not even once a year. I mean, if you live in an area that you have a lot of trees, then
Mhm.
absolutely once a year. If you don't, then just keep an eye on your roof. It depends on the age of your roof also. The older
Mhm.
it gets, you might need more maintenance. Tile roofs. If you have a tile roof, you have to do regular checks of the valleys. A roofer comes out, pulls the tiles out of the valley, sees if they're clear, water can get down. Simple as that. If you wait too long, then it becomes a really, really expensive project.
That is so interesting because people that have tile roofs think that you don't have to do anything.
It's a lifetime roof.
Yeah,
We
that's
got
right.
a
Right.
lifetime roof. Nothing is lifetime. There is maintenance to everything. Your
Hmm.
car, you buy a car, you have to maintain it if you want it to run well. But a roof everybody neglects it. We all do. Everybody right now has got priorities where they got to spend their money. And, roofs, hate to say it, come in last sometimes. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the hard economy, like Guy was saying, I think it just people put it off for another year and another
yeah.
year and then it's too late and it's definitely more expensive. So we've
Cool.
talked a little bit about composition roofs and tile roofs. Those are those the two most common?
Well,
Most.
we've got so many flat roofs on commercial buildings and everything.
Oh, okay. What?
So most of them have a vinyl roofing called TPO or the restaurants have a PVC roofing membrane on them, they never clean those, ever. The drains get so filled up, there is literally a yard growing on top of some of these.
Oh, no.
So these flat roofs, they really need to be maintained, because if you maintain a vinyl roof and keep it clean, that thing's gonna last you a long, long time. And the maintenance is cheap compared to a leak.
Well,
That's the whole thing.
absolutely. And if you think about it, I did quick math a little while ago when he talked about how much it had gone up. That's 62% increased in cost. So, you know, you figure wages went up also, and that's not even factored into what just the raw materials for a roof are. So, and I'm as guilty as anybody. I'll look you guys both in the eye and
You
say,
got
when there's
a roof.
when there's leaves, well, yeah, on my rentals though, I
yeah.
keep them cleaned off, but at the same time, it's not necessarily my priority if my fishing rod is sitting
Why don't you
right
call
there.
me?
No.
I mean,
I'll do it.
Well, and I'm thinking we really want a calendar. Like we want to be on a calendar. Is that something we can do with A1 Classic Roofing? Can we have you guys keep track of that?
everybody's starting, all the roofing companies are starting to do that now. They're selling things that they'll be on a calendar. I tell you, I don't think you want to get on a contract. Here's what they're doing. You pay me $2,500, I'll come out every year and I'll clean your roof. Well, what I see is when you do that, these guys come out, they're there 5 minutes, bam, gone. They don't really do the repair.
Oh, they're not doing a check or
Do not pay a lot of money for the rest of your life. They're saying, we'll maintain this roof forever for 20, it's probably even more than that now. I know one company that was doing that, and then a homeowner called them up and said, hey, need you to come out and look at my tile roof. Oh, we lost all our records. Our computers went down, so we're not honoring any of those because we don't know.
Oh, that's terrible.
Well, that's.
And then
the
if you sell your
roofing
house, I'd probably void that also. You know, who knows? But I know Roger well enough to know that if he says he'll come out and clean your roof, he'll let you know if there's a problem with it, honestly, and not try to.
I'm as honest. I was taught by a guy named Roger Davis, and he taught me quality. If I put something down and it didn't match perfection, he would make me redo it. He taught me, we're not artists, okay? I'm not an artist. I can't paint, I can't weld, make something beautiful. My roofs are my art. I look back at them and I'm proud that I can say I did that. I did a big giant shake roof, that wood shingle roof on the river that got me in the National Roofing magazine.
Oh, wow.
Only 2 or 3 of us. Evergreen got in it, me, and that's what every roofer strives to get. So that was an honor, really was.
Well, folks, we're talking to Roger Keller, the owner and founder of A1 Classic Roofing, and Guy Giles of Mutual Mortgage. We got to take a quick break. We're gratefully brought to you by Guy Giles of Mutual Mortgage, the local Rogue Valley Association of Realtors, and John L. Scott, Ashland, and Medford. We really appreciate your sponsorship from these good folks. They bring us to you every week. We'll be right back. Well, hey, Southern Oregon, welcome back to the Real Estate Show. We're going to be wrapping up here real quick, but just wanted to remind you this episode will air again tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. on Sunday, our new radio home, the ACE 1300 AM. And if you'd like to be a guest or a sponsor of the Real Estate Show, you can reach out to me. I'm Alice. My number is 541-301-7980. And now we're getting back to Roger Keller, A1 Classic Roofing, and Guy Giles, Mutual Mortgage. So Roger, we were hot and heavy talking about maintenance, roofs, having maintenance service agreements. They may not be such a good idea, But I had a question about the commercial roofs. If they do get a leak and they're that membrane or they're flat, how do you fix that?
Well, first of all, you gotta clean them. So we get up there, we clean off all the dirt first with brooms and shovels. Then we'll bring a hose up there and we literally put soap on the roof and wash it. And then it's membrane roofs are really simple to fix. All you do is get a piece, you find your hole, and you have this little welder that there's no flame, no nothing, and you just weld a patch around with a thing that heats up to like 1,500 degrees.
Oh, wow.
I guess if you held it on your hand long enough, it'd burn you, but there's no fire risk or nothing. But the same thing with tile roofs. If you wait, this is what tile roofs, like we're talking, I got a 50-year roof, okay? If you wait, you have now cost yourself $10,000.
Oh, wow.
In order to fix the tile roof, we have to lift all the tiles out, all of them. Then we have to pull all the battens out, the 1x2 battens that the tile sits on. Then we gotta refelt everything, and you can't just patch a little tiny hole when you have a massive whole valley that leaks. So I just was on one the other day just to fix the back roof, re-roof the back quarter of the house was 10 grand.
Oh, wow. And that was tile? That's a tile?
If they would have called and done a little maintenance, this would have never happened. That roof can last 50 years. It really can. If you keep the moss off of it, you keep it clean. Once you neglect your roof, then you're in trouble. I mean, call me, I'll come out, I'll look at your roof. I will give you an honest answer. There's companies out here, I'm not gonna say their name, they pop up to your door, you automatically need a brand new roof. And there's companies coming from Washington that are door knockers.
Yeah, we've had some of those.
They are hooking older people up that don't know. I just did one for a guy, that price was $42,000. He didn't tell me till afterwards. I came in at 26.
Oh my gosh.
I'm in the middle. I'm not the cheapest, but I'm right in the middle. So that other company was almost double. And that's what this company, those door knockers don't listen to them. They say no payment till 2025. Well, bull. They're getting you because they're charging you so much money.
Well, and I think elderly people in particular need to be careful of spending large amounts of money anyway, especially when a stranger comes to the door. Not a good idea to open your door anymore, right?
No, I lock all the doors in my house, but never pay a roofer up front. If they need money, you can go down and pay your material bill. Pay that if you want to. That way you know your material got paid for. But do not ever pay anybody money up front.
Well, and a reputable company has a good enough cash flow. They don't need that.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So real quick, wanted to just ask quickly about metal roofs.
Metal roofs, everybody thinks metal roofs are a lifetime roof too, okay? They're a 30-year roof, that's all. Their warranty is 30 years. Now they might last longer than 30 years, but then the paint starts coming off, and in real estate, you can't sell that house because the paint's all coming off. So now they gotta re-roof it. Metal's great for areas like fire. If you're worried about fire, fantastic. But composition is a Class A fireproof roof also. You can put 2 comp roofs on for the price of 1 metal.
Oh, okay.
And they're both 30-year roofs.
Oh, nice.
So, but metal is gorgeous. I love doing metal. I mean, if you want a classy, upscale roof, yes. But you can't put metal roof in a subdivision that's got all comp because you'll
Mhm.
never get your return back.
Yeah, well, and some of the rules, you know, are specific
CCW.
to what kind of roof. So
Yeah.
Guy, that brings up a question for you. How do lenders look at roofs, and what are you looking for when an appraiser goes out on a real estate transaction when it comes to the roof?
Really, on a conventional loan, we rarely see anything unless it's really, really blatant. What the appraisers do is they come out, and back in the 80s, the appraisers were told, hey, if you guys do anything wrong, do anything disingenuous, there could be some ramifications. Well, nobody ever followed up with that. We saw the Wild West during 2005, 2006 when everything was going crazy. And then they went after them kind of again. So as far as that goes, it's been a little bit of a moving target because went from everybody was scared to death to where nobody called out anything and back to, hey, we could actually be held accountable. So it's kind of the standard for, 3 to 5 years. I mean, as far as like an FHA loan or a government loan, that's the only time I ever really see one get called out unless it's just in terrible shape. And if it is, that's usually addressed by good real estate agents like you before we ever get to the appraisal piece. You guys know what's going on there. I have a super, super green real estate agent if a roof gets called out, at this point. But that said, if the appraiser goes out and just, they're not roofers, they're not experts in that. So if they see something that's very blatant, or they see some water damage or something like that, it could get called out. But on the other hand, unless it's a government loan, we rarely see a roof called out. So that actually could be a really good selling point for an agent to just call Roger, have him come out and do,
Yeah, that's an excellent idea.
for a roof
Excellent
inspection.
idea.
Things on its last leg, maybe you don't want to do that because you'll have to just, I'm just teasing, but that's why my name was on the post office while his name was on the roofing magazines.
You know what? The insurance companies now are flying drones
Yep.
over your house. And if you have debris and moss, they picked up, my daughter has a metal roof. They picked up the tree limbs on her house. She lives up at Butte Falls. And they were able to tell that her gutters were full. And
Wow.
cancel her insurance for that. So they're doing that enormously.
Well, and you know what's interesting about that is, don't you think that the drone technology, the next level is it will have arms and legs, and it will do some of the cleaning on the harder to reach multi-story buildings?
Wow,
That's
that could happen.
they just fly up there and drop an Android down to clean the roof.
So, Guy, we only have a couple of minutes left, but I wanted to go back and just ask one more time, one more question about the lender versus roof process. So let's say you have a bad roof before you write the offer. The owner doesn't have the money to fix it ahead of time. So we let the appraiser call it, but we know it's kind of coming. What are the steps for, as far as you're concerned, how do you get the loan closed with knowing there's a roof repair and it's on paper now with the appraisal?
Yeah, I mean, an escrow holdback for something like that is what we would traditionally do.
So what is that exactly?
Well, it's where they'll get a bid, on the roof, and then they'll collect a little bit more. So say it's $100 to fix it, and I'm just making that up, obviously.
That don't happen no more.
No,
Not the $100.
but they'd collect like 125% of whatever that is, just in case there's, like the roofer gets underneath and then has to replace some plywood or something unforeseen.
Mm-hmm.
Have a little buffer in there, and then that could get just, paid and held back at the escrow company until after they close. What he did on this last one is the buyers were actually going to pay for it. They wanted the house that bad, so they went ahead and closed on time and hadn't got called out on the appraisal, but he went out in just a couple of days, put a new roof on the place, even with all of the extra repairs.
Well, and that's Roger Keller, the founder and owner of A-1 Classic Roofing. Thank you for being on the show, Roger.
Thank you. I
And
appreciate
we'll
it.
definitely give you a call to do some maintenance and help out with some real estate
And
transactions.
maybe you
And
can scope his number?
541-821-2781.
hi, Giles. Thank you.
Hey,
We
thank you.
appreciate you. Everybody have a great Southern Oregon weekend.
Thanks.